Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut. Yes, welcome back. And you need to subscribe to this channel and like this video. I want to thank everybody for subscribing. The last few days got me over 4,000 subscribers. I want to get to 5,000 before we know it. And it's because of you. You've been able to help me out in so many ways. I can't tell you how much you've meant to me, quite frankly. In terms, I'm not joking. You mean a lot to me that you all watch my videos and leave comments and subscribe and continue to support me. I really do appreciate it, and hopefully you continue to do so. And I'll continue to do videos. I'm not going anywhere. Even if YouTube gets blown up at some point or gets extinct, I will be online as the Baseball Hut. So you're always not going anywhere. But someone that's coming in, that's not going anywhere, he just sort of arrived. They haven't announced it yet, and that is the Mets are going to finally hire David Stearns, the executive from the Brewers, and he's going to be the new president of baseball operations. The rumor is that he's going to get a 5-year deal from the Mets. And, it's been kind of, Steve Cohen has been very patient. He's been wanting this guy for 3 years, and he basically ran out the clock, and he got him. 2 weeks ago, Major League Baseball Hall of Famer Peter Gammon said that when the Mets began to fire all these guys in the front office, that they were going to have a president of baseball operations within 2 weeks. Well, it's been 2 weeks, and I guess Peter Gammon was right. It might be the one time he ever got a prediction right, to be honest with you. Never got trade right, but he got this right. The Mets will not announce it until after the season when his contract is up. He's still under obligation for contract, but he was able to talk to the Mets, I guess, since August 1st, ever since the trade deadline. But it's a long time coming. The Mets kind of been waiting around for him. He's got a very interesting and impressive resume. He was the general manager for the Brewers from 2015 to 2022. For 7 years, he was able to get his team and get the Brewers into the playoffs several times. He's been able to develop a very good farm system there in Milwaukee to where they're able to develop good pitching. The Mets are trying to reestablish themselves as a pitching kind of guru team. I think that's the Mets' reputation is having big pitching. Hopefully he comes in here and helps that out. He's also the guy that made the big trade for Christian Yelich years ago. And as you know, Yelich became an MVP after moving from the Marlins to the Brewers. He was also in Houston during those years prior to them being a powerhouse team for a few years. He was also with the Mets, believe it or not, many years ago. And now we have him back. So now he's back. He's a New York kid. He grew up in New York. His mother was a big Mets fan, I guess. And he was a huge Mets fan. And he obviously worked in the Mets front office with the Wilpons. Boy, oh boy. No, but he's a very good executive. I think he's more sort of on the analytical side than, say, Billy Epler. Billy Epler's more on the scouting side. Billy will be still the general manager. He will be reporting to David Stearns. He will be reporting to him. That will be his boss. And the Mets have been needing another guy in here. They've needed another guy in the room. They've been sort of a big question mark here. We know that Sandy Alderson was here for a while, but Sandy's basically kind of retired. He was doing that for a few years, but the Mets needed a younger guy there. He's 38 years old. He will be running this ball club for the next 5 years. Now, he's coming into a franchise that's had a bad year. However, they had a great year last year. So he has a lot of things here, a lot of very good players here, and he has to decide really on one big player, and that's what does he want to do with Pete Alonso. Pete is historically one of the great hitters, home run hitters over the first 5 years of his career, and that's matched up with Babe Ruth. That's there with Ralph Kiner, Albert Pujols, plenty of some of the really great home run hitters. He is right there with them. So is Stearns more of a guy that is willing to move him to get more prospects? And do the Mets take a major step? Because they will take a step back if they move Pete and they don't have that production there in the middle of the line. They will take a step back no matter what they do with the pitching staff. So is that what you want to do? I don't know. We'll find out. And find out if they're able to sign him to a long-term deal. I know that there's issues there with the contract. But he's going to get a big contract. He's going to get a bigger contract than what Matt Olson's gotten. He might get something more than what Freddie Freeman has gotten. I don't know. I'm just sort of throwing it out there. But Stearns will have that as an issue. The other issue is the manager. Now, there was word from Michael Marino, who was a MLB insider, and he was reporting today that Buck Showalter is probably considering retiring. That he's probably going to step down as the Mets manager. And I was thinking about this with him. A couple of things. One of which is that he seems to have missed something from this year to last year. His little kind of twinkle has been missing from last year to this year. I really felt that he was really, really on the ball last year. Well, 99% of the moves that he was making last year, he was right there. He was several steps ahead of his opponent. And this year he's I don't know. It just doesn't seem like he's into it. I don't know if it's the grind of the travel. I don't know if he's getting older. I do know one thing. I know when they made the trades, they traded Robertson, Verlander, and Scherzer, and those guys in particular, I felt from my own, just sort of watching his body language and just his attitude in particular, that he seemed extremely disappointed, because I guess he looks at his age, he says to himself, this is probably my last shot to win a World Series, when he's had some really great teams and he's missed out on it. So I guess that he looked at it as that was his last shot. That's my own sort of impression of how he, how he reacted towards that. That is something to keep an eye on. We also would like to know what Stearns thinks of him as a manager. Stearns going to want him. I would mention that with the Brewers, he did not hire Craig Counsell. He inherited Craig Counsell from the previous general manager, which was Doug Melvin. So that is something to keep an eye on. There can be plenty of names out there. I did a video on the other day. Guys like Joe Espada. I've heard Bob Melvin. I don't know about that. Maybe Carlos Beltran. And a number of other guys. I've heard someone wrote to me, Joe Girardi. I don't think he fits in with the Mets. The Mets should have hired him after 2017 instead of Mickey Callaway. That was the right time to hire him. It's not the right time to hire him. The Mets need something a little bit different if Buck leaves. But if that happens, it happens. I really respect Buck Showalter. He did a great job last year. He brought a lot of pride into this team, a lot of pride back into the organization in terms of connecting to Mets history, and that I really appreciate. The one thing I don't appreciate that Buck has been talking about this September is showing more respect for these teams that are contending. Last night he said that he wants to keep the ethics in the game, so he's trying to make sure that he uses a veteran player instead of a young guy. Buck, the Mets have gotten their asses kicked. Mets got their heads bashed in by all these teams. They don't care what the deal is with what's going on here. Okay? If the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't care. Don't care about the other teams. Worry about the Mets, play your young players, and that's it. Also, the one thing I've noticed with Buck this time around, and something a little bit last year, but very much this year, in terms of Buck's attitude, his attitude has been very much, there's no fire in the belly. That is a problem. The fact that he doesn't want to throw at other batters. I thought about this coming home today, driving from work, that Buck, it's a little strange that Buck has this attitude of, just bygones be bygones. I'm not going to hit, now he wasn't hitting them, but But he was a guy that mentored under Billy Martin, and Billy Martin was one of the biggest hotheads in a dugout as ever was. Any Billy Martin team that would have gotten hit, they wouldn't have thought about it. Billy Martin, because they know that Billy Martin would have made sure that his pitchers would have gotten, say for instance, Ronald Acuna or Matt Olson or any other Brave would have gotten beamed in June if Pete Alonso got hit the way he got hit. There is no doubt in my mind about that. So that's the one thing I've been a little disappointed in, is that there's not more fire to him, considering where he's coming from. Well, we're going to see. These are the kind of decisions that David Stearns is going to have to make. Initially coming in, obviously must be pitching, and they need another bat. This team is desperate for another power hitter in the middle of this lineup. They don't get it, they're going to have a big problem. So, let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Thank you for watching for all these years. Continue to keep watching. Get me the 5,000 subs. And I'll see you later.